American 8th Air Force has been steadily contributing to the Allies' round-the-clock air offensive, particularly with its heavily armed flying fortresses. One of the most successful of their recent raids was aimed at German U-boat production, as so many of our attacks are, and this film record of the raid was made by their official cameraman. Several attacks have been made on Wilhelmshaven, and here, taken as a matter of fact by a newsreel man, is an interesting shot of that great German port as American forts flew over it. But the raid we are reporting was further inland to the southwest, on the U-boat building yards at Vegesack, a town not far from Bremen. And here we are, on the spot. The first bombers have been over, and the target's already partially obscured by the fires they've started. If you watch the center of the screen very closely, you can see more bombs going down into the clouds of smoke. Hits were scored on a power plant, submarines under construction, and at least one U-boat in the water. Heavy opposition was encountered, but the Americans claimed 52 enemy aircraft destroyed in the course of the operation, and they only lost 2 planes in what was a very shrewd blow. Certainly the boys seemed pleased with the job, as well they might be.
What effect do you think the weather had on your bombing?
Well, for one thing, we could see the target clearly. We came in from the IP and we could observe the target a long time before we got to it. Instead of having to hunt around for it and mill around over enemy territory, we could come right in on it.
On a later occasion, the 8th Air Force selected the marshalling yards at Rouen for their target. Pretty tough types, these crews. Jack Ramsden went with them. That's him just before going aboard, fixing his camera on the specially prepared door and fitting an electrical heating device to prevent it freezing up at the extremely high altitudes from which the fortresses operate. Jack assures me that at 25,000 feet or more, thought itself is apt to freeze. And he now knows by practical experience a little of what the RAF and the Americans have to cope with in the process of handing it out to the Boche. Neither flak nor fighters prevent the bombing force from flying straight to their target in broad daylight. Incidentally, only a few hours after Germany had been left smarting from the RAF night attack on Berlin. This time we'll see the bombs bursting thousands of feet down there on Rouen vital railway yards. This was the Americans' 6th daylight attack on this important center in occupied France. Damage to a bridge, to oil dumps and to the railway yards was the principal result, and when the bombs had been dropped, the fort had to fight their way back, of course. As he took this shot, Jack says, an attack by enemy fighters was being made from astern, and the fortress's guns were fairly blazing away. One bomber and 4 escorting fighters were lost. The bomber can be seen on fire down there in the sea as the aircraft crossed the French coast on their way home. Over England again, and not long before the landings. Jack scrambles out, thankful that his aircraft's come out of the show so well. All the same, a cigarette just about meets the case. But not all the landings were so happy, and not all came back without casualties. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Wounded are carried out, and the secret bomb site is taken away, heavily guarded. The 8th Air Force has been doing a fine job and already has many highly successful raids to its credit. It is not yet as powerful a force numerically as we or the Americans themselves hope it may soon become, but it's on the job all right and hitting hard. Liberators of the United States 8th Army Air Force on their way to strike at the German war machine. Day after day, this blitzing of Germany and of carefully selected targets in German-occupied countries goes on, and the enemy can't stop it. Very strong forces now go out in daylight from this island base, in far greater numbers than any concentrations ever made by the Luftwaffe against us, either by day or by night. Every attack, of course, means a battle through the heavy flak normally encountered, and often, though not always, for the Hun's trying to conserve his strength, a battle against enemy fighters. Recent missions by Liberators included attacks on Ludwigshafen and Brunswick in Germany and Bourges in France. Hitler has naturally done all he can to disperse his war production far and wide over Europe, but nowhere is it immune. And our picture shows the accurate bombing of a target near Bourges. But of course the non-stop blitz also wears down the Luftwaffe, and in addition it brings ever-growing evidence to the enslaved people of occupied Europe that the day of their freedom is approaching. This is the view of the Liberators' crew, and down there the people looking up at the growing might of Anglo-American air power know that help is on the way. Terrific work is also being done by the US 8th Fighter Command. New combat pictures taken by their camera guns offer first-class evidence of that. German E-boats, for example, now get this from the Americans as well as the RAF. Train busting, too, is still on the program. The RAF, you'll remember, made a feature of it at one time. Here are a few recent attacks by the Americans. As for the Luftwaffe, that receives the very closest attention, whether in the air or on the ground. Planes on the ground, airfields and hangars, radio and other installations, all of them are being shot up with meticulous care by the US 8th Fighter Command. And when the Luftwaffe joins battle in the air, well, the following combat pictures are the best comment on that. No matter what the Luftwaffe sends up, the Allies shoot them down. Not without loss, don't let's pretend that, but of course this film only shows enemy losses. MEs, FWs, JUs and the rest, they're all meat to the boys of the 8th Fighter Command. German Air Force had things very much its own way until the Battle of Britain. Since then, for the Nazis, things have steadily been going from bad to worse. As surely as these enemy aircraft are being sent crashing to the ground in flames or blown to bits in the air, so is the Luftwaffe disintegrating. Hitler's world-conquering weapon is now a wasting asset.